You and you.
They're not scientists.
Oh man, this is, what, get this out. But it's for people who are interested in music and getting a scientific insight into some of the lyrics of their favorite songs.
And then they go, "Poof."
Hello, Neil. Hello, Houston. You know, it doesn't make sense. Don't get anal about all these facts, Charlie. So yes, these guys have it pretty much right.
So yes, it's true.
Here we go, next song is...
My name is Charley Lineweaver. I'm an astronomer and an astrobiologist, and I do research here at the Research School of Astronomy and Astrophysics, which is part of the Australian National University. And the first card is artist J. Cole, track, album of the year. Reporting to you live from the International Space Station. I probably vacation on Mars. The flow is out of this world, and so is the bars. Okay, so this is a person who thinks that space is a viable alternative to keep you from being bored here on Earth. Reporting you live from the International Space Station is pretty low orbit, so it's not really very far towards Mars. It's not really very far towards the moon either. I don't know about reporting you live. This guy needs a vacation. This guy, he needs a vacation. Space is one place to get that vacation. The moon is, as a matter of fact, if humans are going to evolve into another species, the moon and Mars are places where this might happen. Probably not within our lifetimes, but within, let's say 1,000 years or so. Eminem, Spacebound. I'm a spacebound rocket ship and your heart's the moon, and I'm aiming right at you, 250,000 miles on a clear night in June. Well, you can go, you know, once you get above the atmosphere, every night is very clear. Also, 250,000 miles. You know, Eminem, we're scientists, we deal with kilometers. It's 400,000 kilometers. So I'd interrupt you there, but you know, let's not be I'm spacebound rocket ship and your heart's the moon. Well, the distance from the Earth to the sun changes. It's called perihelion and aphelion. But he's talking about the distance to the moon and in June. But if the Earth is here and the moon is going around, it's not exactly a circular orbit. So sometimes the moon is closer, and sometimes the moon is further away. When the moon is closer and it's a full moon, then it's really a supermoon, it's called. But this particular, it's just a round number, used to be the distance to the moon, and the June has nothing to do with anything about the moon. That has to do with where the Earth is in its orbit around the sun. Light travels at 300,000 kilometers a second, so it takes light about 1.3 seconds to go from the Earth to the moon. That means 1969, Neil Armstrong lands. He says, "Tranquility Base here, the Eagle has landed." And then and he says, "Hello, Neil. Hello, Houston." So it's that 1.3 second delay. Okay, artist, Blackalicious, track, Chemical Calisthenics. And the lyrics are, law of definite proportion, gaining weight on every element around. The theory is that all matter is composed of at least 3 fundamental particles. Okay, the guy's gaining weight, and he thinks that he's pulling in all the elements around. Well, how many elements are there? There are 82 elements that are stable. Actually, life forms like you and me, we're made up of, about at the 98% level, 99% level, well, we're made out of 6 elements. Hydrogen, carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, sulfur, and phosphorus. Those are the 6 that make up our bodies. It says here, the theory is that, you know, it depends on which theory they're talking about. It could be any one of several. The theory is that all matter is composed of at least 3 fundamental particles. Now, well, that's not really true, because usually fundamental particles are usually considered to be quarks and leptons. Now quarks, there are 3 quarks that go into a neutron or a proton, but electrons are made out of our fundamental particles. So that makes 4 fundamental particles. I think they're referring to, he's pretending that neutrons, protons, and electrons are the 3 fundamental ones, but he needs a course in nuclear physics to disabuse him of that simple notion. Of course, this is only a song, so give him a break. He's gaining weight, he's got a problem, tell him to get some exercise and fresh air. B.O.B, Flatline, indoctrinated in a cult called science and graduated to a club full of liars, heliocentrism, you were the 6th victim. This is complicated. Heliocentrism is the idea that the planets of the solar system orbit the sun. Helio means the sun, centrism means the sun's in the center. This is by a rapper who believes in flat Earth. Oh man, this is, get this out of here. Okay, here's Lil Wayne, Dark Side of the Moon. Said I'll be waiting for you on the dark side of the moon.
And if you happen to get there before me, leave a message in the dust just for me. Okay, dark side of the moon. Now, here's the sun, and here's the earth. The moon is here, it's going around like this, right? So the dark side of the moon is always the side that's away from the sun, which is over here. Now, it's true also that the moon, you only see one side of the moon. But the moon is going like this and facing the same side to the earth all the time. See how, if you're here, you can only see my palm. And that's what the moon is doing. The dark side of the moon, however, is the side that's always away from the sun. So that means when the moon is here, earth is here, moon is here, the dark side of the moon is facing the earth. And you can see the dark side of the moon. And the wonderful thing about that is when we can see the new moon or the dark side of the moon, the earth is completely full when you're looking from the moon. So when we look at the dark side of the moon and the new moon, we can see that it's a little bit bluish. And we measure this light. And the reason it's bluish is because the sun shines on the earth, which then is the full earth shining on the moon, and then it's reflected from the moon back to us. And so we can see earth shining off the moon. And that's what we can see in the dark side of the moon. But Lil Wayne is more concerned with, I'll be waiting. He's going to wait for you on the dark side of the moon. And, you know, he's going to have to move all the time because the moon, from the dark side of the moon, to stay on the dark side of the moon, you'd have to walk around the entire moon once a month. He'll be waiting. He's gonna have to, he can't just sit and wait, I'll tell you that. He's gonna have to run. He's gonna have to get on a moonmobile and go very quickly. So I don't know, you know, it doesn't make sense. These are artists. They're not scientists. Next one. Okay, Beastie Boys, Intergalactic. Another dimension, new galaxy, intergalactic planetary. Intergalactic planetary, planetary intergalactic, intergalactic planetary, planetary intergalactic. So, I'm usually answering these as astronomers. So you have to, you know, there's a difference between planets and a galaxy. Now, we have the sun and we have a bunch of planets. We have 8 planets going around the sun. So when he says planetary, he's talking about either the planets in our solar system, or there's another star way over here. Let me bring it in. Here's the other star. It too has planets around it. We've found out recently, in the last 5 or 10 years, that every star has some type of planetary system around it. So that's what planets are. They're bodies of rock and hydrogen that orbit stars. But then he talks about intergalactic. Now galaxies, our galaxy, for example, is the Milky Way galaxy, and there has about 300 billion stars in it. And the nearest galaxy is M31 Andromeda. And when you're intergalactic, so here's a galaxy, here's our galaxy, here's M31. Intergalactic is between the galaxies, so it's right here, intergalactic. And so that's a space, there's no stars there, there are no planets there. And so the word planetary for an astronomer is something associated with a star. Intergalactic is usually associated with the space between galaxies, so they don't make any sense. Right? But maybe that's part of some ambiguity that I have no idea what he's talking about. He has some type of romantic affair with the planets, or he thinks of galaxies as some type of panacea for the problem he has with his girlfriend yesterday, and he was drunk and she doesn't want him to be drunk anymore, and he just says words like intergalactic, planetary, just to help him forget his trivial life and his problems that he has. All right, last one. Moonwalking on the sun, barefoot with shades on. Okay, the surface of the sun is 6,000 degrees. You know, when you take a shower in the morning, you take a shower at 55 degrees Celsius and no hotter. You get 60 degrees, you start to burn, you get denatured. Your proteins will denature just like a fried egg. So, as a human being, you cannot deal with temperatures greater than 60 degrees Celsius. The sun is 6,000 degrees. So it's much hotter than anything you can stand, and so you cannot moonwalk on the sun. As a matter of fact, you get barefoot. First of all, there's no surface either. You can't moonwalk on the sun because it doesn't have a surface. It's made out of hydrogen gas. It has it's hot, and then you've got shades on. Well, that won't help because your plastic won't melt.